Have you ever had a moment where everything felt too heavy? Like you were carrying the whole world and nobody could see it? Yeah, me too.
I think most people have, but we don't talk about it enough.
We don't. And that's kind of why we're here today, Alex. Because today's topic, it's not just a lesson. It's something I personally needed for a long time.
What is it?
It's about your mind, the part of your mind that works even when you're sleeping, the part that decides, quietly, silently, who you become.
Oh, the subconscious mind?
Exactly, the subconscious mind. But before we go deep into that, Alex, can I ask you something personal?
Of course.
When you wake up in the morning, what's the first feeling you have?
Honestly, most mornings, it's a kind of tired feeling. Not just physical tired, like emotionally tired, before the day even starts.
Yes, that feeling has a reason. And by the end of today's conversation, I think you'll understand why that happens, and more importantly, how to change it.
Okay, I'm ready. Take me in.
So let's start simple. You know how your phone has a screen you can touch and use?
Yeah?
That's like your conscious mind, the thinking mind, the part you use when you make decisions, when you solve a problem, when you read something and understand it.
Okay, the surface level.
Exactly, the surface. But your phone also has something running behind the screen, software, programs, memory, all working without you touching anything.
The background system.
That's your subconscious mind. And here's the wild part, Alex. That background system, it runs about 90% of everything you do.
90%?
90%. The way you walk, the way you react when someone says something hurtful, the way you feel confident or not confident. All of that coming from the background.
And we only control 10%?
Consciously? Yes, just 10. So think about that. We spend so much time trying to think our way out of problems, trying to logic our way into happiness. But most of the real work is happening somewhere we can't even see.
That's actually a little scary.
Or it's the most freeing thing you've ever heard, because once you understand it, you can work with it instead of fighting it.
Okay, so tell me more. How does this background system actually work?
Let's talk about habits first. Alex, do you remember learning to ride a bicycle?
Oh, yes. I fell so many times.
Right? Every turn, every balance, every push of the pedal, you had to think about it so carefully.
It was exhausting, honestly.
But now, if you got on a bike today,
I just ride without thinking.
without thinking, that's the subconscious. You gave it information again and again until it learned, and then it just ran the program.
So, habits are basically programs we give our subconscious.
Beautifully said. Yes, and not just physical habits, mental ones too. If you grew up hearing "you're not smart enough," guess what program got installed?
Quietly, I'm not smart enough.
And that program runs every time you try something new, every time someone challenges you, every time you almost do something brave, and then you stop.
That hits close.
It hits close for most of us because these programs, these beliefs, they didn't come from nowhere. They came from our experiences, from people we trusted, from things we saw, heard, felt when we were young.
And we didn't choose them.
No, we didn't. But here's the good news, Alex. And I mean real good news.
What?
You can write new programs.
How?
Before I answer that, I want to tell you something about the human body. There was a medical study, very famous. They took a group of people who were all sick with the same illness.
Okay.
They split them into two groups. One group got real medicine, the other group got a tablet that looked exactly like medicine, but it was just sugar, nothing real.
And they didn't know?
They didn't know. The doctors told both groups this medicine will help you heal.
What happened?
Both groups healed, almost equally.
Pause. Wait, the sugar tablet worked?
Not the sugar tablet, Alex. Their belief worked. Their subconscious mind heard the words, "This will heal you," believed it completely, and then sent signals to the body, and the body responded.
I don't have words for that.
The mind is that powerful. It can literally signal your body to change, to heal, to respond differently. Now imagine if belief can heal a sick body, what can belief do for your confidence, your relationships, your dreams?
Everything.
Everything.
But Sarah, it's easy to say just believe. It's harder to actually feel it. Like, I can tell myself you're confident 100 times, but if deep down I don't feel it,
You're asking exactly the right question, and that's where most people get stuck. They try to change their mind at the surface level. They say the words, but the background program is still running the old story.
so what do you do?
You go deeper. You find the right moment to talk to the subconscious directly.
And when is that moment?
The last 5 minutes before you fall asleep.
Before sleep?
Right before sleep, something beautiful happens in your brain. Your conscious mind starts to slow down. The thinking, the analyzing, the worrying, it all begins to quiet. And in that quietness, your subconscious comes to the surface.
Like it's waiting.
Like it's waiting, like a door opens, and whatever you pour into that open door, your subconscious takes it, holds it, and works with it all night while you sleep.
That's why dreams feel so real sometimes.
Exactly, because your subconscious doesn't sleep. It never rests. It's always working. So if you fall asleep thinking about your failures, your fears, your worries, guess what your mind is processing all night?
The failures, the fears.
And you wake up already tired, already defeated, before the day even begins.
That's what I described this morning, that emotional tiredness before the day starts.
Yes, Alex, that's exactly it. So what should we put in that 5-minute window instead? Simple things, real things, things that feel like they could be true, even if they don't fully feel true yet. Not fake energy, not loud affirmations, just quiet, honest sentences, spoken softly to yourself.
Like what?
Like, I handled something hard today, and I'm still here.
That's it?
That's enough. Or maybe, I'm learning, slowly, and that's okay. Or, something good is coming. I don't need to know it yet.
Those feel real, not like a poster quote.
Because they're not meant to be loud. The subconscious doesn't respond to performance. It responds to feeling. If you speak to it with real emotion, with genuine quietness, it listens.
And then,
And then you sleep, and your mind works, quietly, all night. And when you wake up in the morning, something feels a little different. Not dramatically, not overnight, but slowly the background program begins to change.
I want to ask you something, Sarah.
Ask.
Have you actually done this in your own life?
Yes, there was a time in my life, and I don't usually talk about this, where I genuinely didn't believe I was good enough. Not at work, not in my relationships, not at anything.
What happened?
I kept failing, not because I wasn't trying hard enough, because deep inside, some part of me expected to fail. Every time I got close to something good, there was a voice, quiet but constant. This won't work out. It never does. Not for you.
That voice?
You know that voice?
Everyone does, I think.
And I didn't know then what I know now. That voice wasn't the truth. It was just a very old, very stubborn program, one that got written in when I was young, when I was too small to question it.
What changed for you?
Someone told me, not in a dramatic way, just in a quiet conversation. They said, you can't fight that voice with logic. You have to replace it with something else, something consistent, something gentle.
And you started talking to yourself before sleep?
Not immediately. At first I thought it sounded silly, but I was desperate enough to try. So one night I just lay in my bed in the dark, and I said, very softly, almost embarrassed, I'm going to be okay. Just that. Nothing big.
Did it work?
Not that night, but I did it the next night and the next, and somewhere around the second week, I woke up one morning and the first thought wasn't fear. It was just quiet, neutral, like the storm had moved a little further away.
That's beautiful, Sarah.
It's slow, and it's not magic. I want to be honest about that, but it works because you're not fighting your mind. You're educating it, gently, consistently.
Let me ask something I think a lot of our listeners might be thinking. What about the people who say, Sarah, I've tried positive thinking and it didn't work?
That's such a fair point. And I think the problem is most people try positive thinking in the wrong moment, with the wrong energy.
What do you mean?
They try it during the day, when the conscious mind is fully active, when the critical part of the brain is analyzing every word. So when you say, I am confident in the middle of a hard day, your conscious mind goes, no, you're not. Remember this morning. Remember last year.
Yes, exactly that.
But at night, when that critical voice is quieting, the subconscious doesn't argue. It just receives. That's the difference.
It's about timing.
And tone. Soft, private, honest. Not a performance for anyone, not even for yourself. Just a quiet conversation between you and the deepest part of your mind.
Let's talk about everyday life for a second, because you mentioned something earlier about how successful people use this differently.
Yes, this is something I find really fascinating. When you look at people who seem calm under pressure, who keep going even when things are hard, it's not because they don't feel fear.
They do feel it.
Of course they do. They're human. But their internal conversation is different. When something difficult happens, they don't say, why does this always happen to me? They say, sometimes out loud, sometimes just inside, okay, what's next? I've handled hard things before.
They remind themselves of their own strength.
Constantly. And that sounds small, but it's everything. Because every time you remind yourself of your strength, your subconscious records it. And over time, that becomes the default program. I can handle this becomes the automatic response.
Instead of, I'm going to fall apart.
Instead of that, yes.
So it's not about ignoring problems, it's about changing the voice that responds to them.
That's it. That's exactly it, Alex. You don't pretend the storm isn't there. You just start to believe, slowly, deeply, that you are strong enough to walk through it.
I want to go back to something, Sarah. The morning feeling, because I think this is where a lot of people experience this without realizing it.
Tell me.
Some days I wake up and even before I check my phone, before anything happens, I just feel heavy, like today is going to be hard, for no real reason.
The night before matters.
So what did I do the night before on those heavy mornings?
Think back. What did you watch? What did you read? What were your last thoughts?
Probably the news, maybe a difficult conversation I was replaying in my head.
And your subconscious took all of that and worked with it all night. So when morning came, your mind was already carrying yesterday's weight into the new day.
That's not a great way to start.
It's a very human way to start. We're not perfect. We all do this. But the awareness, knowing why it happens, that's already a step forward. Because now you have a choice.
Perfect the last 5 minutes.
Protect them like they matter, because they do. Even just putting your phone down 10 minutes before sleep, that alone is a gift to your mind.
Give it quietness before the day ends.
Give it quietness, and then give it something good to hold on to.
Sarah, for someone listening right now who wants to start, what is the most simple version of this they can try tonight?
Just one thing. Tonight, before you close your eyes, instead of scrolling, instead of replaying the day, take 60 seconds, just 60, and say one honest, kind sentence to yourself. Something that's true or that you want it to be true.
Like what?
Something like, today was hard, but I showed up. Or, I'm trying, and that matters. Or even just, I deserve a good tomorrow.
Those feel real.
Because they are. They're not about pretending everything is perfect. They're about planting one small seed of something better, and every night you do it, the seed gets a little water.
And eventually it grows.
It grows. Not overnight, but it grows.
I think what moves me most about this conversation is that it's not complicated.
It's not. We spend so much time looking for the big solution, the big change, the big moment. But sometimes the most powerful thing is the quietest thing. 5 minutes, one sentence, one honest whisper to yourself in the dark.
Before you sleep.
Before you sleep.
Let's talk about something a little different now, because I know there are listeners who feel like, okay, I understand this, but my problems are real. They're big. A few nice sentences before bed won't fix my actual situation.
That is such a real and honest concern, and I want to address it with full respect. Because yes, if your rent isn't paid, thinking happy thoughts doesn't pay rent. If someone hurt you, kind self-talk doesn't erase that pain.
So we're not saying ignore reality.
Never. What we're saying is this. The way you face reality depends entirely on the state of your mind. Two people can face the exact same problem, same situation, same difficulty. One of them feels paralyzed, the other finds a way through.
What's the difference?
The background program. One person's subconscious is running, I can't handle this. The other's is running, I'll find a way, I always do. Same problem, completely different experience.
So it's not about the problem, it's about the foundation you're standing on when you face it.
The foundation, yes. And that foundation is built quietly, over time, night by night, thought by thought. That's what we're building here. Not a fantasy, a stronger foundation.
Sarah, one more thing. I want to ask about failure, because I think a lot of people, especially younger listeners, they try something like this for a few days and then they miss a night, or they forget, and then they feel like they failed.
Oh, I'm so glad you said that, because that is the most human thing in the world.
What do you tell someone in that moment?
I tell them, one missed night doesn't undo anything. You're not building a perfect record. You're building a habit of returning.
Returning.
Every time you come back, after forgetting, after failing, after a hard week, every single time you return to yourself, that is the real practice. That's the real strength.
It's not about never falling. It's about how quickly you come back.
That's it. And honestly, the night after a difficult week, when you're tired and sad, and you still whisper one kind thing to yourself before sleep, that might be the most powerful night of all.
Because you did it when it was hard.
Because you did it when it was hard. That's when the roots go deepest.
You know what I'm going to do tonight, Sarah?
What?
I'm going to put my phone down before sleep, and I'm going to try this. Just one honest sentence.
Warmly. That's everything. That's the whole beginning.
And for the listeners who are with us right now, what do you want to leave them with?
I want to say something to you directly. If you're someone who has been fighting yourself for a long time, if you've been carrying old voices that told you you're not enough, not smart enough, not brave enough, I want you to know those voices aren't truth. They're just old programs written by moments you didn't fully understand yet. And you have the ability, the actual ability to write something new, not with force, not with pressure, with patience, with gentleness, with 5 quiet minutes before sleep.
That's beautiful.
And if you don't believe that yet, that's okay too. Just ask your mind to be a little open. That's enough for tonight.
Thank you for this, Sarah. Really, I feel like I understand something about myself a little better today.
That's all I want from this conversation. Not a complete transformation, not a perfect life starting tomorrow. Just one small light, one little shift. Because small shifts done consistently, they move mountains. Slowly, quietly, but they do.
Slowly, quietly.
And that's enough. Thank you for being here today, everyone. Whether you're listening from India or America or somewhere in between, you took time for yourself today. That already says something good about you.
See you next time on Talk Sarah.
Take care of your mind tonight. And remember, the quietest part of you is also the most powerful.